Hello, this is Jan from Red Toad Art Studio, and I am going to show you how I am making my Aguatober journal. And this is so much fun to make your own journal to do Aguatober in. And if you haven't heard or seen our other videos, Aguatober is a challenge to do 31 art journal pages in October. And it's a takeoff from, well, we've all heard of Inktober. That was 31 pictures drawn in ink. We are doing this from a toad's point of view, since this is Red Toad Art Studio. And agua, which means wet, we are doing 31 art journal pages, and we have to use something wet on each page, like paint or ink or glue counts as wet. Any kind of thing like that. And we have all the instructions and the patterns for making our own Aguatober journal to do these in. And this is just the beginning. This is the pages of my journal. I haven't even made the cover yet, which will be in our next video. But look at these neat pages and things to draw on or paint on or whatever we want to do. So, in this video, we are going to learn how to make this part of our journal. And then on our next video, we will make a cover for it. So I hope you enjoy this. I've been having a lot of fun with this. I will tell you as we go along pretty much what supplies we need. We need some mixed media paper. And if you want colored paper, you'll need some 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper. That's about it. A 12-inch rubber band that you can find in most office stores, and I got mine at Walmart. And you can download our bundle that goes with this that has several coloring pictures and patterns in it and things like that. So, let's get started. All right, let's make our white pages for our book. Now these are the pages that you will draw on, paint on, whatever you decide to do for your art page. These are the ones that you will either make out of watercolor paper or mixed media paper, because they will handle more wet things like the glue and the paint and all of those things. We will have a certain amount of those. In fact, I am going to use 6 9 by 12 pages. That's the size that comes in my pad of paper. In fact, I bought mine at Walmart, mixed media paper, Bee Inspired. It's put out by Bee Paper Company. There's 120 sheets in here. So it makes these kinds of projects very economical to do. And when you cut these out, you'll have a 9 by 12 inch piece of paper. And that's what my book is based on. Now you can base your book on any size you want. Just be sure to measure all the way through the book when you're cutting for the size you choose. So, I have 2 pages that I haven't done yet because I want to show you the process for measuring, folding, and if you desire, deckled edges. Since this is a Halloween book, an Aguatober book, I wanted it to have something different than just straight edges. So I'm going to show you an easy way to deckle your edges, and if you wish, you can use distress ink if you have it on hand to tint the edges brown. And now I've never done this, but I've also heard you could use some brown shoe polish to do this. So you might give that one a try if you don't have any of this ink. But a lot of us scrapbookers have scads of this around. So we'll need our paper, 6 pages. We'll need our scissors or a paper cutter. And I love my paper cutter, so I will be using my paper cutter, but you can also use scissors. A pencil. A few odds and ends as we go, but nothing that you won't have in your house, okay? So let's get started. All right, the first thing you'll want to do is get this rough edge off of your paper, and there is a perforated line there, and that's where I cut mine. You can either tear that edge off or use your scissors. Now, we need to measure this to go with our sheets of paper. And I tell you what I'm doing for ease. I'm going by a regular piece of copy paper. This is a messy piece of copy paper. And I'm using this dirty piece of copy paper so that you can actually see it against my art piece, my mixed media piece. To me, it was easy just to use these because of the printables that I have that goes with this, if you'd like to use them. There's coloring pictures and things like that that you can print out to put in this book, and they're all based on things you can print in your printer, which will use this 8.5 by 11, something like that, your printer paper, your copy paper. So we are going to measure some of this according to this copy paper here. I'm going to lay it here. And see, since I have the dirty one, you can kind of see what I'm doing. And up here, height-wise, I want it to be the exact size of my copy paper. So I'm going to draw a line across for cutting. Now, it'll only go part way, but you know, you can eyeball the rest of that line. And if you feel uncomfortable with that, use a ruler. But this book, it's a Halloween book. It can be all grungy and just nothing exactly measured or right, because that's the look we want. It's Halloween. It's supposed to look like it's 100 years old and came out of an old mansion and maybe dug it out of the attic or the basement, you know? So we don't have to be real careful. In fact, we almost have to be careful to make it look that way, because we get so precise in some of our crafts, we can't make it look grungy and ugly. So just let go and have fun with this one. When you have this line, get your paper cutter or your scissors back out. And let's cut that off. If you don't have a paper cutter and you do paper crafts, these are wonderful to have. They're around $20 to $30 usually. Well worth it. I use mine all the time. Okay, now we're getting to where we want to decal the edge of our page. And this is really very simple. You will need water and a brush. Here's my water and an ancient brush. It's about ready to fall apart. I also use this brush for Mod Podge. So, lay your paper down on something plastic that it won't hurt if you get it damp. Take your brush and wet the end. Oh, make it about 1/4 of an inch. You can go a little more than that if you want. You don't want to shorten your page too much. And do this on both edges. These are the edges that you're going to decal. And let that sit there just for 30 seconds to a minute. Let me take one of these pages out and show you. As this is laid out, there we go. This is edge that we wet, and it makes it easy to tear that edge and give it that old-fashioned old look. So watch that about a minute, and you'll notice your paper will start to kind of wrinkle on the edges, and that's the time to tear it. All right, so our goal is just to take this and tear along that wet edge. See how easy that is? Look at that, coming right off. And look at that beautiful deckled edge we have. There we go. Let's do the other side now. Don't try to be real precise. It's okay if it goes crooked or goes in and makes a hole, whatever. Remember, it's supposed to be 100 years old, maybe 200 or 300 or 400 years old. There's our deckled edges, and now you might want to kind of just flatten those out. Be sure your workspace is dry before you do this next step. Now, you can leave your pages just like this if you want. Or you can take it a step farther and you could ink these edges and make them look old and grungy. Now, if you're going to ink, you'll want to lay it on a scrap piece of paper. Take your ink. If you have a dauber, cotton ball, piece of sponge, and just run it along the edges of your paper. Just like that. And you'll have that old manuscript look that makes it from, maybe a castle somewhere and you found it buried deep in a vault and it has all these spooky secrets in it. That's part of the fun of Halloween, isn't it? All the stories you can make up around it. And just think how neat this is going to look when you have it done at the end of October with at least 31 art pages done. Now, you will need to ink both sides because this is actually equaling 4 pages when you fold this in half. Now, I'm doing 6 pages right now. You may want more pages in there. It depends on how much you want to do. You may want to do more than 31 art pages. The one thing about the way we're making this journal is you can add pages at any time very easily. So don't worry too much. If you are afraid you don't have enough pages that you've made, you can make more easily. And you can take pages out easily. We're about done with this page. There we go, all inked. After you've inked it, fold it in half. Give it a good press there. If you have a bone folder, that's the time to use it. A lot of us don't have bone folders, but if you've been crafting for a while, you're sure to have one. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use like the edge of your scissors. If you're careful, like the handle here, and do that, it will do the same thing. Or just press it with your fingers. After it's folded, it can fit in with the other pages that you've made. Now, if you notice like this outside page here is a little bit shorter because I didn't measure where I deckled. It could go in the inside. And look at this. Look at that beautiful, let's see if I can show it so you, that beautiful deckled edge we have here. Isn't that fun for this journal? Nothing's even, so you don't have to worry about that. I do like to kind of keep the top and bottom edges as even as possible, but even that, if you really wanted to, you could cut these just a little bit higher. In fact, just don't cut them at all and deckle the bottom and the top if you want to do that. Now, I didn't choose to do that, but this is your book, and you can do it however you want. So there, our white pages are ready to go. In fact, I have 1 more to do, and you probably now have 5 more to do. So at this point, let's finish all of our pages, and then we'll learn how to do some other pages when we're done with this. All right, let's get some colored or decorated pages ready to put into our book. Now, this is optional. You could just do more white mixed media pages if you'd like and decorate those yourself. But if you have some scrapbooking paper or other decorated paper, you could even use something like wrapping paper that has kind of that Halloween look to it. We can add that to our book, and then it will give us some pages to do some really fun art pages with. I've picked out 4 pages of 12 by 12 scrapping paper. Now, you could also use these smaller sheets, and all you'd have to do is fold that page in half. But I really like these 12 by 12 sheets, and I especially like these sheets that have patterns on both sides. Now, a lot of 12 by 12 does not. This has white. This has a pattern on the other side, and so does this one. Isn't this a neat Halloween pattern here? That would be good on the front too, but I already have one picked out from the front. So what we need to do with these is to cut these down to the size of our white pages, and I do want to decal these pages too. So let's go through cutting one of our pages here. Usually when we pull one of these out of an album of paper, we have a white edge here we need to get rid of. So let's just get rid of that first. And okay, now I need to get my pattern piece here. And check the other pattern to be sure it's going the direction you would like it to be when you cut this out. And we want to do the same as we did on our white pages. We want to get the height here of our page. So we can just draw right along here, like we did on our white pages. We'll have a lot more paper left here. And so now we need to cut along here. Now, with the 12 by 12 paper, we'll have quite a good piece of paper left here. Save this to use for perhaps a pocket or an envelope or something inside your book, because these are great papers for that. So just lay that aside for now. And we will talk about those in another video. Now, if you don't want to decal these edges, you will need to measure this, half it, lay your pages along there, and you will need to cut it this way. But if you want to decal these, just like the other pages, don't cut that. Lay it out and wet your edges and tear them off, just like you did with the white pages. I hope you're seeing enough here. It's always a challenge to keep things in camera view. Now I need to let this set just about a minute until it softens my paper so I can decal edge it. Now, you'll notice, especially this scrapping paper, it softens up much quicker than your mixed media does. Look at that. And I love that, where it shows the torn edge. That is absolutely okay for that to happen. There we go. Then we fold it in half. And then these will be added in with our white pages, but sprinkle them through. Don't make it just white pages and then colored pages. Just move these around until they're in an order you like. There we go. Let's see if I can get that to where it shows. Now we have some white pages, and then we'll have a colored page. And then we'll have white pages, and then we'll have a colored page. Now I'm going to do that to 3 more sheets of scrapbooking paper, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we get all these in here. Okay, I have decaled 4 pages here to add to my book, and now I want to ink their edges to match the edges of my my white pages. And just the way we did before, we'll take our ink, and I never did tell you which one this is. This is vintage photo if you like this one, but a lot of others will do. There's all kinds of colors of these inks. And then we'll just ink these edges, just like we did on the white pages. Now, we did 4 of these. We really wouldn't have had to. Each page equals 4 pages in your book. So this brings us up, if I'm counting right, to 40 pages in our book. And we only have to have 31 pages to fulfill our challenge. But this gives us other pages we can put things on or in and just make a really nice full book. But you don't have to do that many unless you want to. In fact, we have a way we're going to add a few more pages to this, possibly. And I'll show you those in a few minutes. We want to ink all the way around our colored pages so that they will blend in well with our white ones. There we go. And then we will fold this in half. And to get a good fold, follow these outer edges instead of your uneven edges over here. All right, fold that. And then do the rest of your pages just like. Okay, I have 4 pages all ready to go in here. And I need to decide which one I want at the front of my book, because I do want a pattern page as my first page. And I think, well, I love all of these. I really like this one. So I think that's going to go first. And then probably 2 pages of white, and then we'll add another one. And 2 more white pages, perhaps. Yeah. We'll add a colored page. And then another white page. And my last colored page here, and my last white page. We're getting quite a full booklet now, aren't we? Look at that. Can you see all of our crazy deckled pages? Now, if some of these are bigger than you like, you can tear them down farther if you want. When we make our book cover, we'll make it come out just a little bit farther than our widest page. Now, we still have something we want to add into this book if we want to, and let me show you those. In our description box, there will be a link to our Aguatober bundle. And in that bundle are some extra pages you can use in your book. There will be this frog with a witch's hat that you can color in. It will just come plain like this, but you can color it in, cut it out, and use it for your front cover if you would like. Or you can cut it out and put it in your book and paste it on a page, and it can be a coloring page. And then here is Aguatober 2023. This journal belongs to, and you can put your name, and you can cut this out and put that on your first page or your inside page if you would like. And then here is another set. This is some of the rules that we have just to remind you while you're working on it. Over here is our absolutely totalicious prompts. Here are the 31 prompts to make your pages by. Or, if you'd rather have some extra Halloween prompts, here's 12 Halloween prompts. You can use any of these you want, in any order. You can use them more than once if you want to. And real quick, since we're here, I'll just quickly go through some of the, what we would call rules or rules to go by. Aguatober is a challenge to make 31 art journal pages in the month of October using mostly toady prompts, or these. each page you must use something wet, such as paint, markers, ink, or if you've just colored a picture and that's not wet, well, glue that picture in if you'd like, and that will count. Or if you have colored it and you want to put it in as a folded sheet, which I'll show you in a few minutes, and you haven't even used glue, get a sequin or a little sticker or something that you can just actually glue into a corner of the page. Hey, that'll count. Drop of glue will count, just so something wet was used. And you know, to be absolutely honest, if you've deckled your pages, you've already used something wet on every page, and you didn't even know you were fulfilling that one, did you? So hey, you're good to go if you deckled your pages. And you can make scary Halloween pictures since it's Halloween month. Those are a few simple rules. And one for some of you busy people that say, I can't sit down and make one of these every day. That's one of the big problems with Inktober. I tried it, and life is too busy sometimes to make a particular picture to go with a particular prompt on a particular day. Do you know what? You can make these any time in October. You can sit down and make 10 in a day if you want to. Well, I guess if you're extremely fast, you could make 31 in a day, just as long as it's in October. Or you can go through and make one a day, which, if we can do that, that would be wonderful, if you have time just to sit and do one. We're also busy, and we don't have time also to make very complicated pictures. On busy days, just sit down and make a very quick sketch and put it in. That will do. All right, so you could cut out each one of these and put them in your book. And then we also have a set of coloring pictures. You can either cut these out, and there are 4 pages or 8 pictures. They're Halloween pictures to color. You can use markers, crayons, colored pencils. Now, these will be coming out on your copy paper, so I don't think watercolors will work, but almost everything else will. You're free to color these pictures. You can either just fold it in half and insert it as you do your other pages. You may want to decal these edges too to make them match and ink the edges. Fold them in half and they can just slip right into the book. Now, don't color them now. You want to do these in October, but you can have them in your book, and as I said earlier, it's easier to take pages in and out of your book, and I'll show you that later just in case. So, what I'm going to do next is get some of these pages ready to put in my book, and then I'll show you how it's done. Let me show you on my first one, just as a reminder, how we want to do this. Now, you'll want to do fairly small deckled edges on this paper. So don't do too wide of a band of water, just enough to get some edges off. Let that set for just a few seconds. You can actually tell as the page gets darker, it gets easier to pull the edges off. And we'll just take the edges off just and make that cute deckled edge. There we go, one edge. See our edge there? Isn't that cute? Now, if your paper dries, you might need to re-wet it. But we should be okay here. There we go. Now, we need to let these dry before we ink the edges. Okay, my dried page here, let's ink it real quick, just like we did our other pages. There's a lot of inking going on in this, and as I said, that's optional. It will save you time if you don't do it, but I think the looks of the inked edges are definitely worth taking the time to do. Now I would go ahead and ink the back sides of this, because you can use this as another art journal page. You could draw on it. You can add stickers. You can do all kinds of things on the back of these pages, even though it's copy paper. You can actually probably use craft paint on it if you wanted to. After you have inked these, and you're going to put them in as a whole sheet, fold it in half. Lay that aside and do all of your sheets just like that. And I'm going to finish mine, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, I have decal edged and inked my 4 coloring sheets. And then I have folded them in half. And it doesn't matter which way you fold these. Just so they're in half. So now we need to sprinkle these throughout our book. So I may just put one after every set of colored pages. Okay, I have put these all in my book. I think you can see most of it here. My wonderful jagged, deckled edges. And so if we turn our pages now, we have some white pages. Then we may have a coloring page. And then we'll have another coloring page perhaps. And then these we can use to put pockets on, or envelopes, or cut out Halloween pictures and put on here. All kinds of things. Here's another page. All right. Now, to hold these together, we can go ahead and put our rubber band on here. Let me show you how to do that. What we're using on this journal is 12-inch rubber bands. Now, I got mine at Walmart, and you just have to look in the stationery area, and they'll have rubber bands of all sizes, and they'll have 12-inch rubber bands. You use these on file folders. And if you can't find them at Walmart, I'm sure you can probably find them at just about any office store. If you can't find these, check out the craft area, and you may find an elastic cord that they use for jewelry and stuff that you could tie together and make one of these. Or you could use sewing elastic, that round little elastic, and maybe run some distress ink or something like that over it to give it a color, and use it in the same way. But we're going to hold everything together by finding the middle. Where is the middle of everything here? Be sure we have them together, right? Let's do it this way. There we go. Open it up and just run the rubber band over it until it's in the center where all the folds are, and close your book. All right. Now I'm using purple. I'm not sure. These come in several colors. I may think about my color a little more when I make my cover, although it looks like we have a cover now. This could be used as a cover, but we're going to make a cover out of our file folder. It'll be a little more long-lasting maybe. And now I have all these pages in a book. You will probably want to do this for more than October maybe, or just do a lot of things in it. We had 2 more pages in our bundle that we need to work on. These. So what I'm going to do is cut these out. I'll be back with you right after I've cut all of these out. Okay, I have my 4 pages cut out now. Now these had these little curvy things up here, which is a little hard to cut out and not have a little bit of white paper that's still showing on the edges. So I'm going to come in and ink the tops of these, and that'll cover up that white. You may have been a much neater cutter-outer than I was. There we go. Now, I don't think I'll worry about inking anything else. You could ink those pages, though, if you wish. So now we have 4 pages. Now, I don't have my cover on here yet, but this particular picture I'm going to put on my cover, and we're going to decoupage this on our cover, which I will show you how to do later on. So that's my cover picture. This is for an inside page. So when you open the cover on my inside page, I'm going to put this. Now, I can make this count possibly as one of my art pages if besides just putting this down, perhaps I decorate the edges and paint them and do all kinds of things, then I could count this as an art page. And then on another set of pages, I want to turn those. I don't want to do that on coloring pages, so right here, I want to put my rules and my prompts. And I'm going to glue both of those into my book. Well, I tell you what, it probably will be in the next video. I will show you how I put these in my book once I get my cover done. So, I'm going to kind of tuck these into my pages here. I think that will be it for today because it's going to take you a while to make all of these pages and get them deckled and inked. And on our next video, we will make one way to make a neat cover for this. So I will be seeing you in our next video, and I will say bye-bye for now.